Hello friends! Are you seeing anything particularly different on me? No? No? Okay, good. Keep it that way because I am now 1 year closer to being an actual granny and not just dressing like one. That's right, I have boarded tram 3. I've gotten a new front door. I have turned 30. Or well, when I'm filming this, I will turn 30 in a week, but when you're seeing this, I have turned 30 almost 2 months ago. Turning 30 is not such a big thing to me, but there was one thing that I wanted to do before I became 30, and that was go to a festival. Because even though I live in Belgium where festival culture is really big, I have never been to one that I actually chose, because I went to Suikerrock with my parents once and I worked on a festival as well, so after my shift was done I could go to the festival, but there were no bands that I actually really wanted to see. But on the day before I turned 30, on Graspop Metal Meeting, there are quite a few bands that I want to see. But as I have never been to a festival, I am completely unprepared. Let's change that in this video and let's make some festival essentials. For me, the 30-year-old festival version. We shall first and foremost make a fanny pack, and secondly, if we have enough time, because I only have a little over a week to finish this, a matching bucket hat to protect myself from the sun. So yeah, 30 and not so very much flirty. Let's get on with this. And because turning 30 also means being responsible, we'll be stash busting for this. This is my stash of old acrylic yarns, and let's choose some yarns. Maybe before we do that, I will explain that the fanny pack I'll be making will be a granny square fanny pack, not a granny fanny. I will link the pattern in the description. It is free, and there is also a tutorial by Repeat Crafter Me that you can follow if you also want to make a crochet fanny pack. I mean, we are going to Graspop Metal Meeting, so we better choose a very bright color so that I actually just don't know why, but I like very bright colors. I am the weirdest metalhead. I never ever wear black. And I think I'll take some acrylic to make the strap, because I don't want the strap to be stretchy and then slide off. I'm going to show you my favorite crochet hook, which is this one. I got this one from a Ren Fair once, I think it was in 2013. It's a 4mm hook. I broke it once, but the sellotape is keeping it neatly in place, so I don't know, just for old time's sake, I just want to use this one again. I've also used it as a wand prop once, because it just looks awesome, doesn't it? Enough stalling, let's crochet a granny square before I'm actually a granny. It's like kind of more like a flower granny square, not the traditional granny stitch granny square, and I quite prefer that actually. I don't know why. Maybe granny squares are a little bit boring? Or I have made too much of them over the years already. What's your opinion on granny squares? You prefer the traditional ones or the more elaborate ones? Now, to avoid having to weave in a shit ton of ends when I'm done with this, I'm just crocheting over my end so that it gets tucked in while I'm working. Life hack. There we go, a first square finished. And now I'm like uncertain. Should I make them all with like the green border so that they're like flowers in the field, or do them completely random? I'm not sure. I could still connect them with the green and then, yeah. Oh, why can't you give me advice over the camera? That would be so helpful right now. Do we want a mainly green fanny pack? No, that was actually not my plan. Scratch that. I had almost forgotten how much I like just making random squares and picking and choosing colors, making the most colorful things ever. I'm getting so much joy out of these neat little squares that just finish in a jiffy. You know, the funny part about being a metalhead that likes color and likes dressing up in color is that you don't always get recognized as one, and people sometimes are astonished when you tell them you like metal. Or I once had on a concert, I was waiting in line for the Nightwish concert, and in the venue next door, there were two venues next to each other, there was a Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike concert, which are very popular DJs here in Belgium. And I, the colorful grandma that I am, was wearing a ochre, gold, yellow, very bright coat, and I think like a blue scarf or something, and probably a green hat. You know me, just me and my colors. And everyone was like pointing, you know, the Dimitri Vegas and Like my concert is over there. And I'm like, nabish, I'm here for the Nightwish. So yeah, maybe now when I'm going to Graspop, people will say like, this is not Couleur Café, this is Graspop. Hey. But of course, generally speaking, metalheads are the nicest and least judgmental people there are, so I'm not worried. That makes 3. One more. So we have our 4 squares, our 4 crochet squares, all sewn neatly together with a single crochet border. You actually just put one in the front, one in the back, and then fold the 2 to make corners, and then, yeah, you see where we're going, you see where this is headed. Now, up until thus far the pattern has served us well, but now we are going to stray from it, or actually just completely ignore that it actually exists. The pattern just has you make a waistband that just and sew it onto the corners. We are not going to do that because I want my waistband to be adjustable, because like if I want to wear it this way, that will need more band than this way. So I have got this hecking difficult vintage closure from somewhere in my husband's late grandmother's stuff, and I also have this slidey bit. But what the pattern also does not tell you to do, but what I also did, is I made 4 fabric squares, approximately the same size of the crochet squares, but with some seam allowance. And I'm going to make a lining. I don't want small pieces to drop between the stitches, you know? I don't know how many small pieces I will be jamming into there, but I better be prepared for that now, don't you think? So let's sew these together. Now, since my sewing room gets demonically hot every time there is the slightest bit of sunlight, I am going to continue the rest of this project hand sewing in my nice and cool living room. Pow! So yeah, we have got ourselves. Going to adjust the camera because you can't see for shit, can you? Yeah, much better. So yeah, we have got ourselves a practical, handy dandy fanny pack. I in the end opted to not use that white closure I had because it was a little bit clunky for the band that I made. So I just made like an extra black on black. I mean, I'm the girl that says she never wears black, but then when I try to show something black, I'm wearing black. I made like a little loop. I crocheted an extra loop and then threaded the band through that, and then here is a little slider thingy to keep it all in place and to adjust to whatever length I need it to be. So my festival essential number 1 is done. Now we need something to cover our head. I will be making my bucket head without a pattern because technically it's just circle a square and then circle a square because it's technically just a square that you then... It's not a square, it's a circle! Ugh. I'll be crocheting this bucket hat without a pattern because you just circle. Geometry! I'll be crocheting this bucket hat without a pattern because it's actually just a circle that you then lengthen. If talking about geometry is a little less tricky for you than actually imagining geometry, there are multiple free patterns on bucket hats on Ravelry, or you could, for example, try Jenna Phipps's one, and she also has a video accompanying that. Band shirt, check. Fanny pack, check. Sun hat, check. I did my time and I want out. I think, my dear friends, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals, that I have been officially transformed into a graspop granny. So now that all the necessities are accounted for, let's go and embarrass ourselves and maybe also embarrass my friend that's going with me on graspop. Now, as always, if you like these kind of fiber shenanigans, then maybe you could like, comment or subscribe, but of course that is all up to you. And I will see you in a next video. Bye!